A15.
Hello, hashtag Verse TV family, and welcome. It's week 263, A15. I'm Aaron Mack, and A14. Whatever. That's actually not where I say it yet. I'm Aaron Mack. I'm so accustomed to saying it the other way, like back in the day. Whatever. Whatever. We are moving forward together, right? Hashtag First TV family. Yes, we are. Yes, us. Yes, that's another us. Anyway, the topics this week are more credit. Subtitle hashtag Visa. And it's coming from FOXBusiness.com. Hashtag VerseTV A15A from FOXBusiness.com. It's interesting because I won't. We're also doing for future husband, heart. And this one, subtitle is horrible. It's not but yeah, it's horrible. And it's coming from at tonight's conversation cars and hashtag Burst TV A15B. And we're closing the episode off with, of course, hashtag underrated hype TV A15. And the song is, drumroll please, Not Into You by K. Michelle from her Zero F's Given Beats. Anyway, actually, technically, it's just called Zero F's Given, but in the songs, she would say that, but whatever. And circa 2014. So we're sticking with the 2014 circa trend across these 2 weeks. And it's on at Underrated Hype TV. Copyright infringement free, but whatever. Hashtag Verse TV A15C. Now, the question of the week, the marvelous, fantastic, absolutely synergistic question of the week is, if you could live in any fantasy world, be it Hogwarts or Narnia, which would you choose? Okay, so why did these are random questions? Why do you do this to me? Okay, I don't know. I do know the references. I don't even want to say it's because I'm nerd enough. I'll say it's because I'm human enough. I get the references. Hogwarts is see a very popular based on a book, J.K. Rowling. See, I know that much. Harry Potter. Hogwarts is Harry Potter. Narnia, I don't know exactly. I know that there was a thing called the Chronicles of Narnia, and that's all I know of that. So, of those two fantasy worlds, I simply do not know. I have no idea, none. And it's okay. I if I had to choose between the two, I don't know. I know Hogwarts. I guess magic is cool, I guess. So that could be cool, but then I think Narnia has like animals and pets that are like talking pets and talking animals and stuff. Humans are human beings are also animals. We're just a different form of animal. But talking beings that normally don't talk. So, but that might be the case in Hogwarts as well. I simply don't know. But I think my guesstimate is going to actually give it to Narnia. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry for my Hogwarts people. And I'm sorry if I keep mispronouncing it as well. But it is what it is. Anyway, I have nothing but love for both of them to the extent that I know either one of them at all. The song this week of mine is none other than 1994's. Ooh, ah, I just like even looking at that after building it up, right? I'm going all the way. Yes, I'm going all the way by Sounds of Blackness from their album Africa to America, Journey of the Drum. And this is a perhaps little known fact on Sounds of Blackness, but Sounds of Blackness is actually a brainchild of the genius duo Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. And they actually put together that group. I saw it in I don't think they discussed it in an interview. I think it was something just talking about them because, when you become as big as Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, there are people who base their content on simply talking about your history. And I love that song. That's Sounds of Blackness is also where Ann Nesby gave her entrance into the world of popularity and being known, I think. And because and I actually have that album. I feel horribly that I don't know it off the top of mind. I should have written it down, but I didn't. I apologize, Ann Nesby. I have a number of your albums, actually, and I am a fan. And that's where she first stepped on to center stage for the world, singing her butt off. Oh my gosh, she does. And in this song, I love where she belts, diva belts. Gotta keep on. Oh my gosh. Yes. Gotta keep on. Gotta push on. Push on. Keep on. And she screams it, like hollers. She's like, push on. Keep on. Keep on. You can't give up. You can't. Oh. And that's something that I say to myself often. I'll also say, she says, wherever all the way is, that's where I'm going. Ooh, I love that line. Wherever all the way is, that's where I'm going. Yes, because I can't give up. Can't give up. No. Wherever all the way is, that's where I'm going. And if you're going to, I'll see you there. But wherever all the way is, that's where I'm going. Oh my gosh. Yes. Can't give up. And yes, my brother's Etsy shop, Mac Tees, please, is developing a hat for me or creating a hat for me that says can't give up with the hashtag VerseTV logo on the other side. Can't give up, hashtag VerseTV logo. And I can't wait because I will indeed wear it. I was thinking, like, I can certainly wear that hat on the show, and I will. Certainly. And as far as not giving up, I also think about a connection of mine who is an inventor, a patented inventor. And in the early days of his invention, I remember visiting him because at this particular time, we both lived in DC. And this was at the time where I was free walking. Can't give up. Gotta keep on, gotta keep on. I'll get back there. Yes, I will. Wherever all the way is, that's where I'm going. All the way back there. Ooh. I was free walking and I used to walk a couple of miles to hang out with him. And I remember him showing his invention to this person in his complex. And they straight up laughed at him as he was doing it. And he kept on, keep on, gotta keep on, gotta keep on. And he is beginning to really reap the benefits of his stick to itiveness, not giving up, because, and his intense belief and understanding of the book Think and Grow Rich. He references that a lot. So he's like, that's an important part of his journey, thinking and growing rich. And he is seeing and generating success from his invention that years ago, I remember this person straight up laughing at him as he was presenting it. And he was so cool. He was just like, oh, okay, all right. And he did not stop. And I also think about, I was working with this studio that I used to actually sing in back when I was free walking. That's what I would call it, free walking. And I was the guy who runs that studio. And this was like in my mid 30s. He asked me about doing a podcast on his channel. And I was like, really? Okay. And that was around the time of the start of hashtag First TV. But I was like, I don't think it's too much. And I connect this to the story because it's like, I've got to keep on. There is creative stuff in me. There's creative music in me. There's a lot of stuff in me. And I've got to keep on, got to keep pressing, got to keep moving. Wherever all the way is, that's where I'm going. I don't know why I do that, like salute, kind of, I guess. But that's just so you'll know, wherever all the way is, that's where I'm going. Thanks. Anyway, all right. So, yes. Ooh. And like, share, subscribe, share again, and please do not forget to click like. Thank you.
More credit. Subtitle Visa. FOXBusiness.com. Hashtag FirstTV 815A. Visa changes coming this year will mean fewer cards for Americans. Visa customers will soon be able to use a single card for multiple credit bank accounts and payment options. By Derek Dumas, Fox Business. Major changes announced by Visa this week mean Americans will soon not need to carry around as many credit and debit cards. During Visa's annual payment forum in San Francisco on Wednesday, the company unveiled its new Visa Flexible credential, which will allow customers to use a single card to access payment options from multiple credit and bank accounts, and even, quote, buy now, pay later, end quote, plans when making a purchase. Visa's flexible payment option is already in Asia, and the company will begin rolling it out in the U.S. later this year. Article continues below.
Gonna get the entire planet in debt. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. And I start this off actually saying, no, I do not believe that all people are evil at all, honestly. And I remember in high school, they said there are two schools of thought that like go way back that believes like the spirit of man is either inherently evil and has to work to be good, or inherently good and gets caught up in evil. And I was like, well, if it's just a matter of choosing which one you believe, then I'm going to believe the more positive one. And I do believe that people are good and perhaps can sometimes get caught up in bad. With that being said, I think that this credit thing that where Visa's going is actually a positive thing. And it reminds me of a friend of mine who is also a fellow podcaster. I'm not going to name your podcast just because of the fact that I don't want people to run the risk of thinking negatively about this. But hey, friend, yes. And he is a fellow podcaster. And I remember one time on his podcast, because I listen to his podcast, I'm a listener. I listen to y'all. And on his podcast, he was like, honestly, I am an Apple Pay guy. And if a store or any kind of venue doesn't accept Apple Pay, then they simply do not want my money. Period. He didn't end it with period. Nevertheless, that was his concluding thought on it. He's like, if they don't accept Apple Pay, they don't accept my money. Oh, well. And I remember sharing that with another friend of mine, and and we're all in the same age decade, right? Different ends of that decade, though. And she was like, that's what he said? That it has to accept Apple Pay? Well, that's a little elitist of him. And that's why I didn't name the show. But I was like, I don't think so. I think that that's just where things are going. I think that's just the future of things. And I know for myself, I like using my digital wallet. Like, honestly, I feel, and I'm comparatively, I guess, in between the two of them as far as age. And I kind of feel like, for example, this Friday when I had to pull out a card to connect with my new gem setup for payment. I remember having to pull out my card and I was like, oh, this feels so antiquated, but okay. Anyway, I and maybe that's because again, I am in the middle, 83, yay, and or toward the middle, kinda. I am okay with where things are going like that. I think it's cool. I think it's fine. Yeah. Oh, okay. And yeah, as Visa explained, that's where they want things to go. They want to bring it down to one card, and that one card will turn into that one digital wallet card, which I there there's a possibility that there is bad in it. Now, the way they're promoting it, now they're doing a really strong job promoting it as this is for the sake of protecting you, you consumer. And it might be. And they talk about like your Google Wallet or Apple Pay getting to the point that like, oh, just with a facial recognition, it can go through and let you pick the card that you pay with. I actually think that's cool. And maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I'm a little too young and maybe I'm missing something. But I think that's actually cool. I don't think that I will use I already have my fingerprints in the system through my phone, but I don't think that I would choose to use the facial recognition thing. And this is the because I'm a little bit earlier in the 80s. See, I'm in the middle, right? Because I saw somebody on Instagram, right, talking about she's a tech woman and she gender non-binary actually tech person, and they were explaining that they're like, no, do not try your best not to sign up for facial recognition stuff. And I was like, really? And I just kind of took it at face value without much reading into it beyond. But I just don't really use it, don't really need it anyway. I will say, yeah, the world is in debt. As I said, as I mentioned in the very beginning, the world is in debt, a lot of debt. And unfortunately, for those of us who live here, the US is on the upper end of the middle of the pack of the world being in debt. Now, there are a number of places that are above us and in more debt and have more of the population in debt, credit card debt, but most places are actually under us and have less credit card debt. But it's not by a huge margin. Like we're all getting way up there. So I think the ETF to invest, the ETF to invest in is Visa, MasterCard, American Express too, probably. Yeah, it's my understanding they're actually doing really well. I don't know. This is not financial advice. I see people always have to talk about that. So, yeah, this is not financial advice. IJS, I'm just saying that they're who run the world? Visa. Who run the world? MasterCard and a not too distant but kind of distant second. Who run the world? In some cases, American Express, you know. But it is what it is. I will also say, yeah. Oh, people, FYI, don't do that buy now, pay later thing. I think about myself and my credit card horror back in the day, dealing with the fact that my horrible handling of credit. Don't buy more than you can afford. And that will I'll use that to segue into this, that I think it's kind of misogyny. I bring up misogyny almost every week, just like I bring up the troubles that heterosexual men face and defending them as well. Yes, I am a same gender loving man. Nevertheless, I look out to what other people deal with, and I can feel sympathy and empathy for their issues. I will say it is misogyny how this credit card debt pandemic going on around the world, the face of the credit card debt pandemic, particularly in America, but possibly elsewhere, is a woman. A woman just spending so much and too much. And I remember in doing research on these articles for this topic, I saw one thing, and I probably came across more than one, but one particular thing saying that, yes, we're just spending too much. And their thumbnail of their video was two women with long, luxurious hair and bags filled with stuff while they ran out to the shopping mall to buy some things. And it's like, wow, okay. And it's a lot of people who are in that debt. It's not just women who go out and buy fun and fancy free, like, I don't do anything for a living, but my husband will pay for it. That is misogyny as well, y'all, okay? That's hate for women. Having women be the face of credit card debt. Ugh, I really don't even have time to dig too deeply into it. I will say, yes, there are people who do use their credit card at grocery stores. And I hope it works in their favor. There are, and by there, I mean, there are people who are doing it because they need the credit to make ends meet. I've been there before. I get it. That was before I understood that a credit card is not like getting a raise. It's not like getting extra money. It's simply a different way to spend the money that you already have. Period. And so that's also the same with the buy now and pay later thing. And yeah, there are people who are using the credit card to buy groceries to make ends meet. And dare I say, you're probably better off just cutting up the credit card and getting rid of it altogether and get a no annual fee credit card, but also don't spend what you don't have. And also, there are people who spend money on their credit card at the grocery stores to get their membership rewards points or their frequent flyer miles or whatever, the credit card miles or whatever. So it's not that everybody who pulls out a credit card at a grocery store is somebody who is doing a horrible job with credit. Sometimes people do it just because they, again, want those benefits. And they'll turn around and, just like Ben Stein, pay it in full at the end of the month and not be one of those people who carries over a balance. Like, share, subscribe, and like, share, subscribe, share again. Don't forget to click like. Thank you.
Hashtag for future husband, heart, subtitle horrible. At tonight's conversation, hashtag verse TV A15B. Could you be happy in a relationship if the sex was horrible? Explain your answer.
So, of course, my answer is yes, and I'll explain after I say this. Bringing for future husband, heart, back to its original plan and goal, I'll say that hashtag for future husband was not generated for the sake of being like a clip art picture of the positive good times between my love and I. Yes, my love exists and I exist. My love and I exist. This segment is not that's not why I developed this segment. This segment is to give information about me, and I called it for my future husband, so he can, on days that he's bored at home or whatever, or like off work early or whatever, because we're not that old. We're not. Both of us are 40, right? 40 and fabulous. Anyway, let me stop. But yeah, he it's something for him to look back on and be like, oh, this is how my current, yes, current husband thinks. And actually, so yeah, my answer to the question is no, it wouldn't be a problem for me because sex is not that big a deal for me. It's not for me, myself and I. I think that if it's a big enough deal for you, you are entitled for it to be that big a deal for you. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Okay? And let sex be that big a deal. If the sex was horrible, how would I feel? And to that I say, I don't care if the sex skills between us are abhorrent. It doesn't matter to me. If it's abhorrent, it doesn't matter. Sex is not that big a deal to me. And I will guess love is what's most important to me. Love is what's most important to me. There are people who think otherwise. There are people who equate good sex with love. I don't think they're wrong for that inherently in itself. I just don't feel that way personally. But sex is not that big to me. It's not. Yes, in spite of the fact that, yes, back in college, I used to be a thought in my college days. I also call them my sexual exploration days because I was young and learning and doing what I did with people, which I will say there are certain things that and I think I have enough time to go into it. Before I go into all that, I will say, yes, I don't care as long as there's love between the two of us. And while sex is not a big deal for me, physical penetrating sex is not a big deal for me. I will say that I do love a good, I'm a great cuddler, and that is important to me, having a good cuddle session with my partner and being able to cuddle and chat and maybe even cuddle and we're both reading books. Oh, hmm. Give it anyway. Missy Elliott. Yes, I got that from her. Give it to me, Daddy. And yep, like Freddie. Anyway, let me stop. But yeah, I don't remember what song that was exactly. Yep. I don't know. But thinking about it, like Missy Elliott really gave that sexual moan release like a lot in that studio, or at least was able to put things together in such a way that it sounded like a lot in that studio. Anyway, oh my gosh, I'm in early 80s baby. I can't help it. Early to mid 80s. Early. Whatever. I'm 40, y'all. I'm 83, baby. But yes, I will say, as far as my not needing a lot of sex, that is part of the reason that I thought I would be able to make things work with the woman. Ooh, I spoke to this last week. The woman I say is the woman I would have married if I was a heterosexual man. Because I was like, yeah, it's not like I'm out here effing or getting effed by so many dudes that I'm gonna miss it when I get with a woman who I actually really like as a human being, and she's actually beautiful. She's absolutely beautiful. Yes, she is. Was and is. And I was talking to a hetero friend of mine a few days ago about a female singer, and he was like, yeah, she used to be beautiful. And I was like, how dare you? How dare you? Anyway, as far as the woman I say, the woman I would have married if I was heterosexual, she is absolutely beautiful, period. Yes. And I thought that we could make it work because I was like, sex isn't that big. All I need is a partner to cuddle me from time to time, talk with my day about, and I already do that with her. So it's going to be all gravy. I have to acknowledge, though, that there's a possibility that sex was a big deal for her. And I'd be like, "Oh no, sweetie, I'm not sticking it in tonight, baby, because just no, no, kind of like." And I almost referenced this in the very beginning, bringing up the Fox business segment and how interesting slash unfortunate it is how Fox News or Fox in general has such a reputation at this point, because in my eyes, I just see Fox as like, that's where I used to watch Married with Children when I was a kid. Anyway, but yeah, times have changed. And Fox is making that money. Money, yes, it is. Anyway, but yeah, she might have been the type of person who wanted to have sex a lot, and I would have been not providing that well. And it would have been like, now, Al Bundy, the character Al Bundy, was not the way he was because of being gay or anything. He married the woman he loved and was sexually into at the time. The running joke in the show was how they would not have a lot of sex. And I would possibly even look to a show like that and be like, baby, I'm not having sex with you, but Al Bundy isn't having sex with Peggy, so it's okay, right? No. Um, I don't know. I'll say I don't know. And this even applies to my man, my future husband, heart, because I'm not that big on sex. I'm not that good at it. I remember one dude years ago, he when he found out that I didn't do this particular thing or wasn't able to, he was like, and this wasn't in a sexual meeting, this was just in chatter. He was like, wow, do they still make people like you? I thought everybody knew how to do that. I was like, not me. Sorry. And, but anyway, that was just friendly chatter. But yeah, if it was a big thing to her, she has a right to have made it a big thing. And ultimately, that's another part of the reason I say it's for the best that we didn't work out. Now, maybe that wasn't her. Maybe that's not a big deal with her. I don't know. But yeah. All right. Like, share, subscribe, share again, and don't forget to click like. Thumbs up. Thank you.
Hashtag underrated hype TV A15 not into you. K Michelle 0F's given circa 2014 at underrated hype TV. Hashtag first TV A15C.
He's not into you. People only do what you allow them to. So stop letting the man run your life. Oh, 'cause no one cares for you the way that you're supposed to, girl. You gotta learn the gift of saying goodbye, saying goodbye. 'Cause love ain't supposed to hurt. If he ain't coming home, quit calling his phone. Oh yeah, girl, beware of the sign. Quit wasting your time. He's playing with your mind. Hey. 'Cause he's just not that into you. We're chasing and face got a reason. This ain't meant to discourage. Don't keep giving him your heart. I'm tired of seeing us hurting, crying over men that ain't worth it. Know when to walk away, 'cause he's not into you. I've been where you've been. I've wasted tears and precious time. Gave all of me just to end up empty. Yeah. But I'm a living example of what happens when you say no more. Don't ever let another stop you from living. You gotta know, 'cause he's just not that.
Crying over men that ain't working. And you know, I have loved this song for years. I tried to type it right quick, but I couldn't. Oh well. But I have loved this song since I first heard it, like back in 2014. I think his name was Dorian. Actually, I followed him on YouTube, and he actually recommended that album. And he was like, yeah, I'm listening to K Michelle's 0F's Given, and I connect with that album so much. Y'all need to get that album. And I got it, and I fell in love with a lot of it, and particularly that song, Not Into You, because, oh my gosh, y'all, I'm bringing my story full circle, because the dude who I say is the dude that I dated from my off and on, from my early mid 20s up to 30, I had to tell myself finally at 30, about 31, because this was 2014, that you know what? He's just not that into me. And I would change the lyrics a little bit and say, he's just not that into me. Quit chasing and face the T. And that's how I would sing it. And this ain't meant to discourage. Don't keep giving him your all, because he's just not that into me. And I'd realize that and accept that. And TBT, TBH, I had to sing that to a lot of men. Ever since I discovered that song, it was discovered for myself. It was what I would sing about dudes who were just not that into me. Oh, well, and crying over men that are not working. That's what she said. Because for the longest, up until today, I thought the lyric was crying over men that ain't worth it. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know how I feel about saying that a person, a human being, is just not worth it. Like that, I don't know how I feel about that. But what she actually said was crying over men that ain't working. That the connection is not working between the two of you. And it's like, oh, I get that. So, yeah, tired of seeing us hurting, crying over men that are not working. Have to just accept. And Kate Michelle is college educated, by the way. Yes, she is. And she's a Delta. My first manager after graduation was actually a Delta also. Anyway, but Kate Michelle is college educated. And I think she's, for whatever it's worth, with or without her education, I think she's making a good point that y'all see my cut. I fell yesterday. I think she's making a good point. And I'll also say that sometimes I think I would conclude too soon, too quickly, that things are over with the dude. And I would just be like, Aaron, face it. He's just not that into you. Quit chasing and face it. He's just not that into me. Quit chasing and face the T. Move on. And that's what I said well before hashtag verse TV. But that's what I would say. Quit chasing and face the T. And I would move on. And sometimes I think that was I would move on prematurely from a man. It's difficult because sometimes I think the dudes I would sing that to were like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that MF and B is not calling me anymore, chasing me. Cool. You know? But sometimes I think I would do it prematurely. Yeah. And I'm going to bring in Queen Beyonce into the discussion as far as sometimes fighting through things that you should fight through to hold on to a relationship. Hold on to your love. You've got to hold on at the right times. Because there are times, i.e., and I'd imagine that it varies by person. I feel it's safe to say, pretty much always, without exception, once it is brought to a point of physical violence, I think that should be the end of it. I think physical violence is like, that's the end. And I know it's easier said than done. Oh my gosh. And women were, one of my aunts was speaking to this, the I forget what the act is called. And of course, it takes time, but it's not there yet. As far as women getting paid so much less than men, that continues. That fact keeps women from being able to leave the man in the event of physical violence. The man throwing an iron chair at her. Anyway, but yeah, that because the woman financially is tied to needing the man to make ends meet. So she can't walk out unless she wants to be destitute and homeless. Oh, and I've been checking Zillow for a reason I'll keep to myself. But taking a look at Zillow in the apartment guide, and oh my gosh, I am glad that I live in what many people would call, I'll put it like this, many people have called the hood, okay? And it's like the hood on the lake. And it's like we're on the lake. We have lake views. It's a beautiful apartment. It's just that it's a relatively lower income community. Anyway, whatever. Apartments cost are so high. It's ridiculous. And that woman wouldn't be able to move out on that abusive man. Times are changing. Things are slowly getting better. They're not where they need to be. And my aunt was speaking to that. Anyway. One woman, and I know it seems like I always reference and watch women on YouTube and Instagram and stuff and take their advice. I find it valuable. I do. And this one woman was talking about important questions to ask your partner in the beginning of the relationship. You should get to know them as you grow and build with them. And she's like, that is important. Also, you can still straight up ask these questions. And one of the questions was, how do you handle conflict? Are you the type of person to just be like, okay, I'm going to walk away from this conflict? Or are you somebody who's like, I get really upset and I throw things sometimes at people, whatever, and whatnot? But she said, look out for that. Pay attention to that. Lastly, I will end explaining this big dot on my face. As I was entering my apartment, somehow one of the brake wires on my walker just snapped. And I went straight down, face first, onto the ground. I feel awkward sharing this because I don't want to seem like I'm discouraging people from trying. We've got to try. We can't give up. No, it can feel really not easy. We've got to keep going. We can't give up. And I stayed on the ground a minute, and fortunately, some good Samaritan people who live in the building with me were like, oh no, let's help you up. And they helped me up and got me back into my walker. And I was able to go to the apartment. Anyway, Yeah, that's what this is. I'm healing. I'm healing. Hallelujah. And a friend of the family connection of mine said something very helpful to me where she was like, speak positive affirmations to yourself 6 times every single day. And your cells will hear that and actually physically respond to it. It's not an instant thing, it's an overtime thing. But still, it's not like it cost anything. Just do it. Aaron, I love you. I'm gonna look at you. I'm looking at I'm not in the camera. I'm looking at the image of myself. Aaron, I love you. You are exceptional. Yes, there are rough times, difficult times, and you've come across some mean people. You've also come across some amazing people. Hallelujah. Keep moving. Don't stop. Gotta keep on. Ooh. And we're closing with the start of the show. Gotta keep on, keep on, keep on, pressing on. Wherever all the way is, that's where I'm going. Yes, Aaron, you're amazing. Keep it up. I love you. I love you, kid. Talk to y'all later. Hashtag VerseTV family. Peace. Hashtag VerseTV.com. Stay blessed. All right.